Hey everybody, it's Gail, and this is the bed jacket I just finished last night. So this is made in Knit Picks Shine Sport in navy. It took a little over 10 skeins, and I did the size 34 because this is going to be what I will be wearing after surgery in 6 weeks, when I have to sleep sitting upright so that I don't get a bunch of fluid in my newly smaller boobs. It's a whole thing. It's expected that you usually have to sleep upright for like a week. So decided to make myself something cozy to help out with not having to have a blanket dragged all the way up myself. This pattern is from the 1970s. It is from the Robin Yarn Company, which is an Australian brand, or was an Australian brand. I don't think it's still around. So this piece in particular, damn it, Meg lost a foot again. This design in particular, I really like because, you know, it's just a quick little jacket. It is V-stitch all the way. Let me just pop my phone here. Hold on. Stick with me. There we go. So I managed to turn off my phone while I was taking it off the stand. I have a master's degree. So anyway, let's pick it back up. So this jacket comes in two styles. One of them, you just work V-stitch throughout everything. So sleeves, back, left front, right front, collar, all just worked in a V-stitch pattern. The fancy version, which is what I made, has shell stitching detailing over the front of the torso, and then has this trim detailing on the outside of the shell stitching. Now, fun fact, I actually fucked up this trim in that there's supposed to be an outside piece and an inside piece. And so I did not read the instructions clearly, and what I should have done was taken this outside piece, and it should have been one more double crochet over so that there was a double crochet left right next to the shell stitches to work that second piece of detailing. But I mean, you know, you look at it front on and it looks great. Like, I'm super pleased with it. It's a very comfortable yarn. I've used Shine Sport for a couple of cosplay jackets and just to make some stuff, and I really enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to wearing this, and I think it's a really good project for anybody. There is a mistake in the pattern. So this picot edging here, the way that's worked is you work single crochets into the chain stitches between the V-stitches, and then it didn't have any instructions for working chain stitches within the center of the V-stitches, which is what you would expect when you're trying to do a flat edge like this. It's not meant to pull the sleeve in, at least not according to the photo in the pattern. So you absolutely do want to do a single crochet into the middle of the V-stitch right there so that you can get a nice even picot stitch. Also, again, as I mentioned, this is an Australian pattern, and so if you're working with it, it's going to have Australian terms. So if you are used to working with American termed patterns, you will want to brush up on your terminology. I will link in the basement to a Craftsy article that explains the difference and gives you a little table of terminology. And I will also, of course, as always, link the pattern here in the basement as well, so that, you know, if you would like a little bed jacket or just a fun little jacket, you can have a good time. So now I'm actually going to turn the camera around one more time because I want to talk about the bed jacket as like an object in case you don't know much about it. So I will talk to you in a second. All right, back yet again. So the bed jacket as an object is something I'm very interested in because it served a purpose, but it also served a dumb purpose. So it had like a really understandable purpose, and then it had a real dumb purpose. So if you've looked at vintage crochet patterns at all, Free Vintage Crochet, I think, has a category just for bed jackets and bed shawls. And if you're going through like vintage books from before the 1970s, you see bed jackets. They crop up all the time, and they're generally about like what I made here. I did not design this, of course. And the goal of them was that if you needed to sit up in bed for any length of time, you would have a bed jacket on so that you would have an extra layer to keep you warm. And this was very important in general because houses were drafty, all that kind of shit. And so it was a way to help keep you warm. But also, like, if you wanted to sit up in bed and read, you wouldn't have to pull the blanket all the way up. You could just have your little bed jacket on. So that is the practical application of the bed jacket, as just like a nice thing that you can wear to be cozy. The stupid application of the bed jacket is that it is tied directly into the idea that you must be presentable as a lady at all times. Men, there are not bed jackets for men. I'm sure they just had their robes on. But, you know, you would think if you're sick and you're calling a doctor and it's the 1920s, you can just be in your fucking robe and pajamas because you're fucking sick. No, 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 no. We can't do that. You know, the doctor might notice that you're under the weather. And so you would wear a bed jacket if, like, the doctor was coming to check on you. If you had people calling on you to, you know, see how you're doing in your illness. Also, it was, you know, a very popular pattern to see alongside baby booties because you would match the baby booty pattern to your bed jacket pattern because you would have this lying in period if you had a certain amount of money and people would come and see the baby. And I mean, what asinine bullshit, frankly. Just like, oh no, I am a woman and heaven forbid I look sick when I'm sick. So it's one of those things, like, it fascinates me as a historical object, but it also frustrates me as a historical object. And I think my favorite thing about this pattern that I worked off of was that the front of it is so clearly like, we're going to call it a bed jacket, but we're trying to make it cooler. Like, this is a very, you know, these ladies are standing up wearing little dresses. Like, they look very healthy. And if you go back sort of to the heyday of the bed jacket, you see a lot more like, you know, a lot of standing ladies, but also a lot of sitting ladies tucked under blankets and, you know, all of that. And so it's interesting that this pattern was probably an attempt to sort of modernize the bed jacket into something a little hipper, in which case just call it a fucking jacket. It works the same. But that's my bed jacket rant. I actually have quite a few of them in my collection because I do like them as just jackets. But also, I am either very, very warm or very, very cold in the winter. There is no middle ground. So more layers are always good. And bed jackets tend to have really fun designs. You know, even if the reason that they were kind of so fun and interesting is because, you know, you had to be pretty while you were sick, or, you know, had just pushed a baby out of your vagina without either any anesthesia or ether. So that's what I know about bed jackets. Not a historian. Keep that in mind. And on that note, I will leave you until I see you. So, as always, if you like what's happening here, please like, subscribe, share, etc. I update when I update, and we'll see how that goes. Later.